okay, let's be honest. So when we were discussing this topic, we were discussing this show, we had a list of people, right?
Right.
Okay.
And so we went down the list and we were like, you know who would be good? You know, Akilah and Doom, they'd be good. I think they'd be good for this topic.
Welcome to the Love and Adventure. I'm Pastor Evans.
I'm Mrs. Evans.
And we are excited to have a wonderful, wonderful couple with us this evening. I don't want to mess up anything about them because they're both awesome people. So we're going to have them introduce themselves. We're going to go ladies first. So Miss Akilah, introduce yourself.
I'm Akilah. Hi, everybody watching. It's a lot and a little about me. So number one, I'm a minister of the gospel. I'm a teacher. And I just been teaching, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity to be here and share with you guys. I also have an awesome, wonderful fitness, wellness program that is online now. So thank you guys for having me on here.
Mm-hmm. So I appreciate having you with us. I was wondering if you was going to get your, you didn't get the name. I don't know if you want to put the name out there. You put the name of your fitness program.
Yeah. Definitely. Plug.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, plug.
Yes, I am the owner and creator of Bodywork. BODYWERK, Bodywork Fitness.
All right. And she's real hot on TikTok right now. I see people doing the duos with her, and that's pretty cool. All right. Mr. Bailey, tell us about yourself.
Bailey. My name is Mr. Bailey. First name Carse, last name Bailey. I am a serial entrepreneur out of Los Angeles, California. I own a tax office, co-own a tax office with Miss Akilah. I own a finance company called The Nerd's Wallet. With that, I teach you credit, some credit tricks, some car hacks, a bunch of things that us as Black folk need to get out of this rat race.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's good. Well, all right. Well, thank you for introducing yourself. We're definitely honored to have both of you guys here.
Okay, so we like to start with Icebreaker. So if you knew you could not fail, what would you do?
Ooh. Who's going first?
Jeopardy question right there.
Right.
If you knew you could not fail, what would you do?
You know what's crazy? That the first thing that came to my mind, and this is so bad, I would probably rob a bank.
Okay.
But the first thing I thought about was getting a lot of money. Like,
tell the truth.
Easy. Hey, I'm just being honest.
You got to pick the right set it off character though, because only one of them made it out.
That's right. That's why I was like, that's the first thing I thought about. Like, ooh, okay. If I had that option not to fail, I'm good either way. Get this money.
Right. You know what? And when I thought about it, mine was very similar. I was like, I'd put all my money in the stock market. That's what I thought about. If I can't fail, like,
right.
Come on, Google. Come on, Apple.
Come on.
Get it. So.
Mr. Bailey, what you say? I'll save mine for last.
I'm just shocked at these answers. If I could do something that I know I wouldn't fail, I would. That's a good one because it's a lot that goes into that. I would do my best. Well, since I can't fail, I would take people. And when you were a kid, you had a thing that you wanted to be when you grew up. And it always has changed. So if I knew that I couldn't fail, I would go back to the essence and let you be what you wanted to be when you were a kid.
That's a great answer. That's an awesome answer. Whatever.
Seriously?
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Right, but I just said I would rob a bank, and here you go talking about you want to save the world. Like,
right. I'm over here with the stock market, trying to get that paper.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's a great. I don't even want to give my answer now.
Go ahead, do it.
I would, if I knew that I couldn't fail, I would.
Right, tell the truth.
I'm gonna tell the truth. I already told you the answer. I can't lie now. I shouldn't have told you earlier. I would play basketball. I always wanted to. I was about a foot too short to keep playing, so I would play basketball and enjoy that while I could, and then do other stuff. And then I would take Mr. Bailey's answer and do what I wanted to do when I was a kid.
See?
I fixed it. Talking about intimacy today, and we want to get into how we approach it from the different angles and have a good conversation about it. And what we like to do is start with the definition of the word. So let's have that definition, wife.
Okay, so according to dictionary.com, intimacy is defined as a close, familiar, and usually affectionate or loving personal relationship with another person or group.
All right. So with that definition in mind, and just kind of thinking about how we consider intimacy, the first question is, what do you think of when you hear the word intimacy? We gave you the definition, but even with or without the definition, what do you think of when you hear the word intimacy?
One of the things that I cannot get out of my head, I heard this when I think I was in high school, it was into me. I don't know if you guys ever heard that, the way that word was broken up. So that's forever driven my perspective of it. But I do see intimacy as something close knitted, personal, together. And I don't really, at first, younger, you look at intimacy, of course, as like relationship with, someone. But intimacy can just be a feeling or a atmosphere. It could be a zone, with something or someone. But that's how I view it, as being in tune with something.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Mr. Bailey, what you think?
I think that's a great answer. And normally I would just say what Babe said. What I'm going to say is, intimacy would be closeness. And I would say, that's such a vast word because there's so many people you can be intimate with.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can be intimate with Babe, and we have that connection. But I'm an only child, so I have a very intimate connection with my mother.
Oh, okay.
My son, he's the only boy, so that would be another intimate connection with him. So it's just the close relationship that you have with that person or that thing. That's how I would simply put it.
Mm-hmm. You guys are really mature. I appreciate that.
Right.
She gave you the pounds. You didn't pound it back.
Yeah, he didn't get the air pound.
Trouble. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Trying to help you.
Well, when I hear the word intimacy, I don't necessarily it kind of shocked me because I guess I never looked up the definition, but it just talked about general like affectionate or loving relationships with a person or a group. And so I was like, okay, because we tend to only relate intimacy to a person that we're romantically involved with, right? Yeah. And then also on the other side of this Christianity that I live, right? We talk about having an intimate relationship with God, right? But we don't necessarily talk about just the everyday relationships that we have with our brothers and sisters in Christ or our next door neighbors or whatever. And so when I thought about the word intimacy, I thought, romantic relationship, not necessarily the things that you do in those relationships, but just the relationship in the totality of it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Right. And you guys, and like I said, you guys started off in a really mature place, and you started with some wonderful answers. And what I want to do now is just kind of have a conversation about an intervention type conversation, because everybody's not there.
Okay.
Some people hear the word intimate and they hear different things. So I want to read a statement to you and then talk about it from either where you used to be when you weren't as mature, or where maybe some other people are. So here's a statement. Men think immediately of sex when they hear the word intimacy, but women think of sharing their thoughts, dreams, and fears when they hear the word intimacy. Do you think this generalization is true, at least for some?
I absolutely do. Just going with the whole notion that women are emotional and men are physical.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of like plays into it, just from my experience from dads, grandparents, uncles, just the males that I grew up with, and the women that I've grown up with. We do tend to feel before there is like a physical connection. So we can think intimacy before we even actually have a physical connection.
Mm-hmm. You think, Mr. Bailey?
That's absolutely 100% correct. I like when I talk to people and we talk about how like when a man first meets a woman, like it's different, because for me, I feel like when a woman looks at a man, she says, "Oh, that's a nice looking man," or he seems to be, there's like some other characteristic about him that's not really like physical. When she looks at a man, it's like if you meet him at work, he's a smart guy, or you meet him wherever, you are attracted to that characteristic first. Mm-hmm. Whereas with men, when we see women first, we like, oh yeah, that's it right there. Whatever characteristic physically we like about you, that's what we hone in on first.
Right.
I definitely agree that statement is true.
Right. You don't be like, look at that personality on that girl. Woo!
That's like 3 weeks later.
Right. They'll be like, oh, she's so smart. Oh.
Right.
So and I know that hearing the word intimate a lot of times, if generally men, when they hear like we want to be intimate, if you're watching this now and you are of the male persuasion and your lady friend tells you that she has planned an intimate night for you, right? If you're being honest,
all right, tell the
Christian,
truth.
Jewish, Muslim, I don't care what you say you are. If your woman says, I set up an intimate night for just me and you, you think it's going down.
At the end of the night.
at the end, in the middle, before dinner, after, you think it's happening.
And paid for, that's cute or whatever. Let's get to the intimate part.
Right. And what's crazy is the whole thing is intimate. And that's something that we have to learn, I think, as men, as we grow and mature, that all of that is intimacy. All of that is getting to know, and all of that is being part of, is becoming part of who you are as a couple, especially if you're looking towards getting married and doing different things like that.
Yeah, because it's a work mentally, the stuff the things that we think out and we plan and we put into play, like it's a whole mental game. And I know like men, they don't even care. I know he'll tell me a lot of times, like, babe, I'm not thinking about all that. Like, I'm thinking of colors, what's going to match you, how you going to feel, like how it's going to look. And he's like, no, we don't care nothing about that.
Right. You trying to set up a whole picture. Like, we're going to take pictures. We're going to have the right pattern and the right color. Let me get this background together. And he like, can I just get my shirt?
What you say, baby?
Just tell me when to show up.
Right.
And I think that gets I feel like that a lot of times still, not as much as before, but I think that gets a lot of us in trouble, a lot of men in trouble, just like that feeling like I'm gonna do whatever you want me to do. I love you. I'm here. Just what am I wearing? When I'm supposed to be there? What you want me to do?
Right.
But I don't. And y'all can speak to this. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Y'all can speak to this. I don't think. Yeah, go ahead.
It's not enough because, like I said, we think about all these missing things. So we want it to be appreciated. We want it to be validated. We want it to be thought out. Like, okay, I put thought into this for you to connect with you, but then you're not even picking it up. So just to be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's not good enough. It has to be some type of acknowledgement, or even if you just kind of go on that train of how I came to do this or how I played it out, or things like I know with me and him, we'll talk about the ins and outs of an event or something that happened after the fact. Like, let me tell you how this experience, like when the whole story behind my ring. Oh my God. It was in the moment, we had an intimate moment, and this intimate moment was with our family though. But at the same time, there was some things that happened that made me appreciate the moment even more by just him telling me what he had to go through. But
Right.
maybe for men, it's not like that. But I was just like more, oh, babe, like really, I'm really gonna marry you now because just thinking about what he went through just to get the ring, because it was a cold little story behind it.
Right. There's
What-
a lot that goes. There's a lot that goes into everything, namely weddings. Because we got one on the horizon, and a wedding is the most intimate thing that you can do before you say I do. And a lot of times weddings get men in trouble, namely my husband, right? Because I'm over here doing all the things, and I want him to be involved, right? And he is just like, just tell me what to do. Just tell me where to go. Just tell me what to pick up. And I'm like, no, you need to be like, do you like blue? Our color is blue. How you feel about blue? And he's like, no, I can't. True intimacy requires an authenticity that involves being honest in the moment. It's not about sharing your past or problems, but feelings about yourself, what's happening with you right now, or towards the person you're with. So it's saying true intimacy is not about sharing your history or even an issue that you're having. True intimacy is when you open up about how you feel today, or how you feel about what happened today, or how you feel about the person that you're having feelings about, And so we got that from Psychology Today. And the question is, how have you dealt with intimacy in your relationships, more specifically past or current romantic relationships? Well, we've been married 20 years. I don't even know if I remember past relationships.
Right. Good.
Good answer. Good answer. You go first.
When you was first reading that comment, I wasn't really thinking about relationships because you and I'm paraphrasing. You said it had to like do something with you being in the moment or the immediate moment,
right?
And I think about like what made me kind of say that that's not necessarily true is because again, I'm an only child, and I wasn't the best of kids.
Okay.
Right. So once I became an adult, I was able to look back on what I did versus where me and my mother are now, and we have that intimacy because of where I came from.
Okay.
So I think I would say I would disagree in that aspect, but as far as like with her, with Babe, the intimacy is definitely in the moment, and it's totally based on her because the intimacy is based on my connection with her. It's not about what I did and what the ex didn't like or what the ex thought was cool. It's about, okay, this is what works for she and I. These are the things that she likes to do. These are the things that make she and I closer. These are the levels that we connect on. So in that aspect, I would say I 100% agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah. I would kind of say the same thing too. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like a middle because of the simple fact that I would think that everyone would try not to bring in past things with any present relationship. Right. But then, you have no choice but to do that. You got that reference factor. Like everything we do is based upon reference.
Right.
And then it's how we apply, it's how we apply wisdom. Because of where I've been, I know what not to do. And I know what works and what doesn't work. But I think it depends on the individual. Like with us two, there's no possible way that I can like bring in any of my past relationships in terms of intimacy, because in that part of my life, intimacy wasn't what I define intimacy to be now. So with him, our experiences are different. So it puts me on a whole nother level of intimacy where he might be on another level of intimacy. So now we're growing together. So it's more I think, and this is how because I feel like romantically, we have like the best romantic life, and he doesn't claim to be like the most romantic, and because he can be very insensitive sometimes. But when it just comes to us together, it's like he's a different person, and then I feel myself being a different person. Like I'm super considerate of his feelings and his wants and his desires when I wasn't like that before.
Right.
So, you know, it's like, well, that's a little bit of the past coming into play. But I mean, then it's a Debbie Downer if you're trying to relate, if you're trying to have intimacy based upon you being with another person.
Right.
You know, everybody don't like pickles on their sandwich.
Right. But I think the statement is saying I can actually remember, you know, in past relationships, and I know that I wasn't. I didn't participate in intimacy the same way I do now.
Right.
And I do so much. I do a better job now. One, because my husband is a different person, but two, because I'm a different person, right? And so I learned from the times and the mistakes, and even those moments I thought were good moments, I realized looking back that they could have been so much better. And so for my husband, I want to give him the better, right? I want to give him the better.
Preach.
And so I'm certain that that's what they're talking about, and not necessarily, you know, because we don't want to bring toxicity into our marriages or into the relationships we have now. And obviously, if you're not still in those past relationships, they were toxic. They weren't for you. They weren't of God for this time in your life, right? Because the things are very seasonal. Especially when you're talking about being in relationships that you shouldn't have never been in the first place, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that when I think about it, when we read the quote and we were reading it earlier, and hearing it again now, I think for me, it's been a progression over our marriage and over a bunch of conversations, because I'm not a talkative person, and I do struggle. Don't make that face. And I do, and I struggle sometimes with just sharing how I feel about certain things and what I'm feeling at the time. So one of the many conversations that we had, just kind of growing together, was about me being able to share with my wife what I'm feeling right then. And that's kind of what the quote was about, talking about or sharing what you're feeling right then, what you're feeling about this moment right now, what you're feeling about your spouse or yourself in that moment, and being able to share that at that time, which I'm still working on, is what intimacy is becoming for me. And it's what intimacy is what really what my wife requires. So it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, in a more positive way, like, just tell me what you need, and I want to give you what you need. I'm not gonna get it right all the time, and she'll tell the truth about that. But if I can get better at that, I think that's how our intimacy grows. Is that right, Beth?
That sounds about right. And you know what? The reason why we wanted to have this conversation, okay, let's be honest. So when we were discussing this topic, we were discussing this show, we had a list of people, right?
Okay.
And so we went down the list, and we were like, you know who would be good? You know, Akilah and Doom, they'd be good. I think they'd be good for this topic. But when we had further conversation, we were like, they Christians, so you know, they gonna hear intimacy. They gonna hear intimacy and think sex, and they gonna be like, nah, I ain't good with it. And we really wanted to have the conversation because we wanted to dispel the fact that you can't be Christian and talk about intimacy, and that intimacy, only a small portion of intimacy is, you know,
yeah,
right. And there's so much more that goes into it. And you can have intimate moments like every day, 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning. And none of those moments have to require you with your clothes off.
Right.
You can keep those things on.
And it's crazy. It's crazy that people, like, they do have that. And thank you for, you know, having discernment to realize that, you know, we're not those people. And he laughed when he said they're Christians, because when I say we are completely opposite, we're opposite. So, you know, I'm a realist, and I love to discuss things that I feel like were blotted out coming up, especially in the church, which is the reason why we have so many errors in relationships now. So if someone would have had these discussions and explained these things to us, then we wouldn't have so many bumps in the roads, and then get to, the point where you're 15 relationships in, and now, okay, this is what I need to do. But these are conversations that we need to have, because it's not just physical. It is definitely it is definitely more than that, but then we don't really know what it looks like unless we hear people talking about it, to get the perspective so that we can see, okay, do I know what intimacy is? Do I know how to be intimate? Do I even know how to accept intimacy from someone else? Right. And so this is a good opportunity, because you get different perspectives. I'm spiritual. He's spiritual too, but he's not, I like to say, in an organized structure of church. So he's more like a renegade, in a sense of, there's everybody got life and you do stuff. So when we come together, this is how the world works. I have my way, my understanding, and then he has his way, but then we have to make it work, because we love each other. We want to be married. We want to be together. So all that old view that I had of intimacy and what it is out the door.
Right. Right. I'm glad you brought that up. Right. So we're going to take a moment. So our last episode is about marriage. And in that episode, I hope that we convey a lot of things. But I hope that we convey the fact that marriage is very much like running two cars together and just smashing them, because you have two people with two different backgrounds, two different life experiences, two different ideas. And it's really like trying to make two cars into one. And it hurts, It hurt a little. Yeah. It hurt. I mean, you have a good time, and I think marriage is the greatest, marriage is the greatest expression of God's love, and it's great and it's fantastic and it feels good. But when you're in it, it hurt a little bit. Yeah. It's like, oh my goodness. And a lot of times people are like, reason why I don't want to get married is because I don't want to lose myself, and I don't want to, this and that. And truly, marriage is becoming one. And there is a portion of yourself that must die so that you can become the one that God would have you to be, right? Mm-hmm. And so, in those moments of pain, the thing that can keep you moving forward are those moments of intimacy, so that you can remember why you're doing what you're doing. It's kind of like when you have a baby. The reason why babies are so cute is so they hang around, because you got to remember they're cute when they screaming and crying and you can't figure it out. Yes. You be like, wait a minute, you smaller than me. And so you gotta hold on to these moments to keep you moving forward, because there's greater at the end. There's greater at the end. Yeah.
I want to before we move on, I want to show you something. Hopefully y'all can see my phone. I'm about to show you a picture of my phone. And for me, this is the most intimate moment that she and I has ever had. Okay. And I haven't told her this. This is all brand new. But I think this is the most intimate moment that she and I has ever had.
Okay. Bum, bum, bum. Aww. What was happening there? You got to give me some context.
So, at the beginning of the year, January, before COVID hit, I got really sick. Okay. I got super sick. I'm calling her like, I don't know what's going on. I can't breathe. I'm tired. When I walk up the stairs, I gotta sit down. And they're like, go to the urgent care. I'm not going to urgent care. It got to the point where I was like, I gotta go to urgent care. I went to urgent care. They told me I had bronchitis and they sent me home.
Oh, goodness.
I'm looking at the paperwork and it says if your symptoms haven't changed in like 48 hours to come back. So I end up being in Los Angeles. Her and her mother, they're trying to medicate me. I'm tore up that weekend. Okay. Come back home to Bakersfield Monday morning. I'm still sick. She's at work. I'm telling her I'm about to go back in. So I go back to urgent care again. The doctor says you have pneumonia. Oh goodness. You have pneumonia. And it's so bad that I want to give you an antibiotic shot, but I need you to come back tomorrow and get another one. So I go the next day to get my other antibiotic shot, and they can't get my breathing right. They testing their machines, changing batteries. They test me like 30 times. They can't get my breathing up above 90. 90, I guess, is what's normal. I'm like at 85.
Okay.
And they can't get my breathing up. So she comes back in and she says, you know, I know you don't want to hear this, but, you know, I have to admit you. She says, if I send you home, I can send you home with some oxygen, but it's a good chance that you might not be here tomorrow.
Oh,
Says,
goodness.
I'd rather send you and admit you. So, again, me being hard-headed, she says, well, do you want me to send you in an ambulance, or do you have somebody to take you? I said, I got somebody to take me. I drove home. I got upstairs. When I got upstairs, because I wasn't going. I was going to go home and go to sleep.
Okay.
But when I got upstairs, I was so out of breath. I'm like, I got to go. So I went to the emergency room. They're going through the process. I called her. She says, well, let me know if they're going to admit you. About 30 minutes later, they're like, we're going to admit you. I call her. I say, babe, they're going to admit me. She said, I'll call you back. Calls me back, and about 4 minutes later, I hear the car dinging. Oh, where you going? I'm on my way up there. She didn't go home. She didn't get a change of clothes. She didn't do nothing. She told her sister she was leaving and she left. She was here in about an hour and a half. She was walking in the room where I was.
Mm-hmm.
And she stayed there. I think I was there for 4 days. She stayed there the whole 4 days. And I was so out of it. She took that picture. I was actually asleep at that time, finally getting some rest and all that. And she had snapped that picture.
Oh.
That was crazy. I didn't even know. Yeah, I had sent him that. I didn't even know. But that whole time, and it come to find out later, this because we didn't know, but it was COVID. But of course, not knowing, he was on a respirator that whole time, and it was scary because we didn't know what it was. He had just like it had happened. But yeah, I would say, because I had literally, for me, I was so scared because I was thinking to myself, like, the whole time, like, oh my God, me and this man just got together. We were crying like, Lord, you can't take him now. Like, no, like,
right.
That's all I'm thinking. And I didn't want anybody else to care for him but me. The doctors and the nurses was just like, we don't have a job, ma'am. You're here. You won't go away. You're doing everything. I'm like, yeah, because I, and I just went into, like, I have to care for him. I have to make sure that everything's okay because I want him to be here. And, I was raised like, you can't trust everybody in the hospital.
Right.
You got to watch. And I'm like, he's out here. His mom, she was scared too, but she didn't want to. It was too much. She was just like, just tell me what's going on. So I'm like, okay, he can't be there by himself. Somebody got to stay. So yeah, I stayed there. Didn't move. I was in that chair, one chair. It wasn't no beds or nothing. I was in one chair. And before he got up, I was up looking at him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know what? I'm about to start shouting because you were there the whole time and you didn't get sick. Somebody missed that. Somebody missed that. Okay. Somebody missed that.
Woo!
Somebody missed that.
And you know what's crazy is that I literally was praying. I would pray, and when I was touching him, I was literally praying because I weird him out because you know me, y'all know I'm loud. I don't mind shouting, running. So he just be like, ma'am, can you not, out in tongues right here. So I'm just like praying, like, Lord, and you're right, because I'm covered. And it was then that I knew that my responsibility was to cover him. Now the flip side of that is, as the man, yes, he is my covering, but I have a deeper responsibility spiritually than he does. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, I gotta come now. My presence is bringing the anointing. So I know if I know nothing else, then I know that my prayers are gonna change something. Because I'm like, okay, God, you gotta intervene and make something happen. So he might not be able to muster up a prayer. I don't even know. He might have been scared and not saying anything. But I know what I'm doing right now is I'm rubbing the Holy Ghost and I'm praying. I'm reading scriptures. I call my mama, like, Mama, just be praying, intercede with me. I need somebody to intercede with me. And we pulled him out.
Right.
That's it. I told him, I said, no, you leaving. We're just going to get you straight. And even the doctor was just like, we don't even know how you alive.
Right.
So that is intimacy. Wow. That's deep, babe.
Yeah, that's good. You started working in your position before you get your position, really.
Right.
Because God made you his helpmeet.
Yes.
And he needed help. And you met him at his help, at his time of needing help. Yeah. All right, we're not preaching tonight.
Woo,
No,
I
we're not
know.
preaching tonight, but I was like getting. Ooh,
That's
Lord.
good. And I know,
Thank you.
and I know that for me, the times when I know, like I know I'm not the best husband in the world, even though she says it, and I know that I don't do everything right. But the times that I feel the most loved is those times when I can't do anything, right? When I know that I can't do anything better than what I'm doing, or if I can't change it, or if I can't make it right, and she's there just to support and say it's all right, and just pick up and do things that I never see, right? And that's favor.
Yeah.
The things that happen that you never see, and you find out when you wake up, and that's why I know that's why the brother still has it on his phone, because in the times when he needed the help, you didn't ask no questions, and he didn't even know you was there, but knowing now that you were there, that's
and that's
everything.
not physical.
That's what.
Yeah.
That's everything for us. Yep. Every man that's gonna watch this is gonna feel what we feel right now. That's
right.
Everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
That's a great manifestation of the Lord, because he said, "Lo, I'm with you even till the ends of the world."
Yeah.
Right. And at that point, he didn't know. It could have been the end of the world for him.
Right. Absolutely.
Especially knowing what we know now.
Right. And that's the thing. It's even bigger now. It's because again, we didn't know what it was, and then once it happened, and we all started saying like, "Man, you think you had it?" And like, you don't really know. And it's like, man, you could have been out. And I don't really bring it up because it was like a time that something happened. It was a very scary moment. But I think just in the fact that you can't, like, even in that moment, because Hanifa, you were talking about before you even get to the getting together and the clothes coming off. See, at that time, none of that mattered. It wasn't about sex. Because you can't, what you gonna get? He on the respirator, he can't breathe. So it's like, what you can't, you know what I mean? Like, what you gonna do? It's not working at this point. He's thinking about trying to breathe. So I can't be trying to assert myself. He can't take me out on a date. He can't rub my feet. Like, none of those things mattered because I couldn't. It was him needing something and he not even being able to express what he needed.
Right.
But then just being able to. What you say, babe?
I said really not even knowing what I needed.
Right. Exactly. Because we didn't even know what was going on. That is like the utopia of intimacy, because when you look at it not just being physical, but it has to be a connection there, because if it wasn't, I know people who we have in situations where you get paralyzed, something happened and the person bone out. They out. Like, you can't do nothing for me.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Man. Well, I appreciate you sharing. Yeah, you got it.
And we typically don't share that. We don't really even talk about that a lot.
Well, that was an amazing conversation. I appreciate you guys coming through and spending a few minutes with us. Thank you for sharing so much of your life and being intimate and transparent with us, and we appreciate it. So, wife, I think that's it. That's all.
That's it. That's all. See you next time.